Hey everybody, welcome again to another question and answer. You caught me making some buttons, and I think it might be a good opportunity to start the show with showing you how I make a button. And I custom and hand cut all my buttons, and I want to show you that. But today, before we get to this, it's a pretty exciting day we have today. We have Jimmy in the studio audience who's being co-star. His co-star today is this 1840 Sheridan wing chair that has a big secret to it. And Jimmy, we're going to reveal that secret to Jimmy to see what his
Oh,
reaction is
really?
going to be.
You mean you're getting me all excited?
We hope that he contains himself when he finds out
Oh,
what the
yeah,
secret is.
yeah.
And
I've seen your surprises before.
if anybody out there has any inkling and they want to comment on it to see if they might guess it before we show it to Jimmy, that's fine too. I just won't let Jimmy know. I'd be interested to see if anybody knows what the big secret on this chair is. So anyhow, I want to show you that I custom cut each button. I mean, you can cut. I usually make a 2-inch square. I mean, you could cut three of them at a time this way, but I'm just going to show you one. And it these dies, you have three dies. You have the cutting die, which I don't use, and you have the die with the shell, and you have the die with the loop. That comprise the two dies for the making a button, and like I said, the cutter I don't use, and I custom cut it to the die. So what I do is I hold it like this, okay, and you have to be aware where your finger is when you do this cut. But usually, if your finger's in the center like that, and you might say, why doesn't he take a piece of cardboard? And I just don't trust that the cardboard's the same size as the die. Some fabrics are really, really particular to that exact size, right? So I do this. I go nice and slow, and that way there I'm assured it's the button that I want. And I would recommend anybody, don't let anybody make your buttons for you unless you really trust them. So what this does is it's probably a 16th of an inch bigger, if that, than what the die is. The die actually cuts to the inside of this, and I think it's too small. If the die was a little bit bigger, I probably would use it, but then I don't trust it. So I put this in like this face down, and then I put my shell in there. I try to I try to make sure that I have an even amount of fabric when I'm pushing it with my finger. And I usually take a screw or something, and a dowel's the best thing too, and just push it in. Okay, so then I'm all ready to go. I just want to show you what it should look like before you actually bring it up. Make sure it's all the way to the bottom, and then you extend this baby here, the hammer, and it should look something like this. Okay, I don't know if you could see that. That's the hammer. You don't want to touch that because the button will come out. So now your job is to get one of these. This is the easy part, really, is to get the loop down inside here. Okay. And then what I do, even the tension that I use is important. Try not to touch this. Just place it inside like this. And then I usually do tension first, and then I give it a whack like that. And that usually makes a really good button. And then I'm not satisfied. I look at that, see the nice closure on that. I take a twine, and I loop it, and I pull. I hold it like this, and I pull to make sure that that's a good seal. There's nothing worse than having a button pop open after you've done a job. Let's say a hand tapped job, you have to go back in the chair and redo it. It's really bad. And I've seen a lot of times on commercial work, I've seen where they may have their buttons sent out because they have so many of them. They have a professional do it, and it's just a machine. And I don't they don't if the die's off just a little bit, has a burr on it, not paying attention, they can make a bad button. It can ruin your job. So it's just a tip of the day. So now let's get going. Thank you once again to the YouTube people. Appreciate the YouTube. We have over 17. I think we must be close to 18,000 now. And hello to everybody. I see we have a few people already. So thank you. Facebook has just exploded with people. Recently, a girl who takes the class, Lisa, she's gonna post, if she already hasn't, I think she has, a question that I'm gonna feature on the board back here. It's a fitted back it's a bourgeois chair. It's a bedroom chair, and it's a fitted back. It has piping, and I'm going to give her some tips. She's struggling with that, and I think that the Facebook forum, I've noticed you guys are great at helping one another on there. I very rarely have to jump in. I agree with a lot of what is being said back and forth by some of the people. So so that's great. So I think we should probably get right. Actually, before we get to we'll just give this so you guys can have some suspense here with this chair. Let's just show this chair first. So when you look at this chair, it has a loose cushion right now. How can you tell an older wing chair? By the size of the wings, because the wings had a function. The function of a wing mainly was to keep the draft off to you, and actually the heat from the flame of a fire. They're also called fireside chairs. So they had a real practical use. So over the time, Jimmy,
Yes.
modern wings are half, and even just sometimes even a third the size of these wings.
Well, I noticed they are much deeper, a little bit deeper.
See how big they are?
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I think is, I like that style. I like it a little more depth to the side.
So we did a couple of numbers. This chair, 2022, 1840, 182 years old. And guess what, guys? Same customer. I'm having a chair come in that's 1740. I'm going to tell you how rare that is for any upholsterer. I don't care who you are to have a 18th century chair. 1740, Jimmy. I mean, that's
Amazing that it's still together.
I know. And it's in really good shape. And I'm restoring these to like horsehair. This is going to be original.
Wow.
Hand stitching and everything.
I wish I could be around for that.
Yeah, so it's going to be an exciting. I already have 15 pounds of horsehair, which is very expensive, and we'll get to that in a minute. We want to reveal what the big secret is, and yeah, Randy says, did a cat get to that chair? I think so. Yeah. So Randy, do you have any idea what the secret is to this chair, or anybody else out there? Big secret. We're going to reveal that. We're going to see what Jimmy's reaction is to the secret of this chair in a minute. So let me just get my phone, because that's where all my YouTube stuff is. I'm going to catch up on. I just dropped all my buttons, but that's okay. We'll pick those up later, Jimmy.
In all this excitement.
All right. So actually, I'm not sure Patrick got to this. He emails me the current Broadway upholstery. I think I'm going to start with Lisa's question. Lisa, so she's got this chair. She's doing a great job on it, but she's having trouble. Guys, just want to see that chair. You see the curve on that chair. She's having trouble with the back. So the back has two welts. It's sewn together. The inside arms are sewn to the back, and there's a welt in between. And on the bottom, there's a welt on the bottom. Okay. So I spoke to her. I'm glad she had time to post this. So she's got the before. You can see that brown chair, that little one up my right. I don't know if it's your right or not, but and then she's got the seat on. She's got the inside back on, which is exactly, the outside back first, which is exactly what she should have done. She's got the seat on. Really nice job. She told me this is a very expensive fabric, and she's really nervous about this. But she's got good prep work there. Look at her muslin is nice and tight. And now the problem that she's having is getting a lot of wrinkles out of the inside back. Okay, so actually, I'm going to show you. I think I could show you with pitch. I think it would be easy to show you with the picture, Lisa. So when you look at this chair, I already talked to a little bit, so that there's a welt that goes all along here, right? I asked her, did you pleat that welt? She said no. That's the first thing she has to do. Take what she's got off, take about a 6-inch section of fabric, ideally a lightweight, like a slipcover fabric, and she's going to pleat it to the welt all the way around. You don't see it. It's pulled to the outside. It's a pull. The reason you want to pleat it is it helps with the wrinkles on over here. It helps you with pulling it. You could pull it tighter, therefore taking more of the wrinkles out. That's one thing. Okay, she's having trouble. Okay, and the other thing is, which is really interesting, and this is the big thing, right? Is so the welt when you pin tacking is so essential. You've seen videos on something like this, really essential. I did want to say to Lisa also, This is really difficult because you've taken the time to sew a back, a fitted back like this with the arms doesn't mean it goes on easy. It's actually harder to do than some of our flat pieces like the wing chair over here, right? Everything's flat on that. Really, you got curves on the wing, but that's different. So a lot of what I teach, that chair would be fine. This here kind of goes against some of the rules of stretching. So anyhow, so you can pin tack after put the pin tack the bottom first, and then go up to the top and pin tack like in a 6-inch area at the top, and then you can put a little tension on that. Okay, little tension on that. All these other pin tacks here, do it very loosely. Okay, don't put much of a stretch, and the stretch that you want to accentuate is the up and down stretch. Okay, don't worry about the side to side stretch, because what happens, a lot of people, what they do on this, because it goes kind of against the rules of stretching a little bit, is that they end up stretching the side too much, and that actually creates more wrinkles. Okay, that's a big, big, big tip on this. Okay, so you've got the whole thing pin tacked. When you pin tack it, you pin tack about every 2 inches or so, right? So then your focus is you can tighten to the bottom a little bit, okay, and then come to the end. Might have to make a cut into your stretcher, and then you want to pull the welting and pin tack that a little bit more. Pull so it'll tighten this area up here, right? You'll know. Don't over tighten it. You'll know. And then your focus, most of your stretching is going to come right in the center of the chair right here. So there's an order to these things. So you could get very frustrated by doing the same thing over and over again. So what you do is you're going to remove the pin tacks in the center, probably about 4, 5, 6 inches, and in the middle you can draw it up. If you have to use your hand to draw it up, go ahead, draw it up and tighten it up. And then you can extend a little bit from the middle. You can extend out a little bit with more pin tack, maybe to an 8-inch section. Okay, and then so on. You're gonna go up with very little thought of side to side stretching. Okay, so if you see my other videos, I'm always talking about a two-way stretch. And this one here, you don't want to do that. Okay, so right about to this point here is where you may be wanting to do a two-way stretch, where you may wanting to, there's Patrick, pull this a little bit more, but not much. This is a very gentle stretch in this area, very gentle, and you're still pin tacking. And then you get to this point. This point you shouldn't have much of a trouble with. But what you can do is you can undo all the pin tacks, come all the way to the front and pull it, stretch it this way and a little bit up, get another pin tack, and then go back with a little bit more stretching. Same thing on the other side. Then you have an option of stretching it a little bit more with your pleated stretch down here. And then so that's the next step if it need be. But then if there's still wrinkles, you go up in here. The thing about this is the wrinkling, it doesn't follow, it's not always what you think it is where you should be stretching. A lot of times in these backs, it's like the stretching in this area here on the bottom kind of takes out stretch, it kind of stretches and takes out in here. So the pin tacking is your best friend with this. I'm sure you'll be fine. And I really want to know, I assume you're putting a little cotton in there, not much filling, not much filling, maybe a half a layer cotton, a full layer at the most. The more padding you put on this, the harder it is to be stretched out. And you can even, if you feel like it looks okay, you can even go over, you're allowed to go over right over the muslin on this. But just let me know how it goes, Lisa, and I hope that that helps you. Okay, there's a lot to this. A lot of people think they go through the trouble of making a fitted back, and then it's just like goes on easy. It's just the opposite. It's just the opposite. They're harder to do than if this was divided into an inside arm, and an inside back all by itself, and you had the areas to pull through like your wing chair over here, right? So I'm glad I got that out of the way. We've got a lot of business today, especially I'm getting a little excited about this chair, this 1840 chair. Jimmy's gonna really flip when he finds out what the secret to this one is. He hasn't been able to guess, you guys, but it's a big surprise. I'm not gonna give him any hints. Okay, let's go to the Facebook, Jimmy. Patrick is busy with all this stuff. Oh, Patrick just posted Lisa's, which I just took care of. So let's go up from there. Daphne, as usual, has been very proficient with some things here. So let's just show you what she's up to. Oh, we did this, I think. No, she's got another question with these two chairs. She's had questions on these two chairs. They're different questions. It's interesting. And I have an interesting answer for her. So let me just read it. She says, okay, so these slipper chairs had a ton of cotton only as batting, no stretcher. Should I redo the outside back the same way, pack cotton into the crevices as shown? Seems like I could use a stretcher plus cotton, but maybe not with a curved back. So either way, I think it's okay. But here's the thing: the cotton is there. It was that upholsterer's way of just recycling or taking cotton. As you guys know, once you pick cotton off of a job, it's no use for much, if anything. You can't use it for pillows or anything like that because it doesn't really do well on pillows because it balls up. But for something like this, I'm sure that that's the motivation in most cases when you see cotton. But the other thing I wanted to mention is she's got a really big, when you have a really big curve though, sometimes webbing is good to put on, and then you can put the cotton behind it as kind of a, like an extra little bit, right? So Randy said, sometimes I find a little steam on the fabric helps as you stretch it. So Randy is commenting on Lisa's job. In the old, I don't actually have a steamer now anymore. I've had too many steamers. You're not paying attention. The hose kinks up, Randy, and then all of a sudden the water comes gushing out, Jimmy, and ruins the job. I've had that happen a couple of times. It's hot,
Oh,
man. That steam is hot when it comes out. So what I use what they call spring mist. In most cases, spring mist, it's supposed to shrink the fabric. That's another tip, Lisa, spring mist or wrinkle remover. Just be careful with that. You want to test that in a fabric. Usually, most all fabrics, it doesn't react to, but you might want to check it. But I think that that should be a last resort. I think that you should try your skill because it's actually a skill builder when you're trying to get wrinkles out of a chair like that. And remember too, it depends on the fabric. You might have a fabric that's a little hotter than what was on there. So a lot of times with my customers, I'll tell them, like I had a customer come in the other day and she had a tufted chair that she wants to put a button back on. And I told her, well, just expect that when you put them in, there's little divots or little projections from that button. It's not like when you put the pleat in, it takes care of those things. So you may want to caution your customers. And so some people, I don't. I joke about it. I'll call them comfort wrinkles. The reason is some fabrics don't work as well. That's the bottom line, and it's true. So let's hope that answers Daphne's question. And then Rebecca Jesta, she's got an interesting project, which reminds me of the project on my bench right now, which I'm going to get to. And let me just show you what she has. It's a mid-century, right? She says, I am redoing this mid-century swivel chair. I've stripped it down and found a spring unit sitting on top of another drop-in set of springs. Well, that's interesting. The only thing separating the two sets of spring was a layer of fabric. Now, we talked about that. That layer of fabric is like a muffler, right? It's muffling the metal hitting metal, right? Separating the two sets of spring was a layer of fabric. I'm leaning toward just redoing exactly what I found, but thought I'd check here if anyone has advice. Let's see. There's 4 comments. Let's read the comments. I don't think I commented on this. Let's see what our students just. So for you guys just tuning in, we have a fantastic Facebook, Broadway Upholstery Facebook. Please check it out if you're just curious, if you're doing upholstery, if you're just starting. What a great resource it is, and I can't say enough how much I thank people for kind of carrying on the tradition of teaching and being generous with your knowledge on here. I can't get the comments up for some reason. Well, we don't have to do that, but anyhow, I'm sure the comments are solid. So I would say I hate changing things. I hate changing, especially if the springs are in good shape, even though they're not coil springs. They're drop-ins, which is not, it's not bad. It's the second best. The first best would be jute webbing and hand tying with twine. The reason I say that, the reason I like that, one of the reasons is you don't have metal on metal. When you have metal on metal, there's a chance you're going to hear the clicking sound. And that chair, if she does it, even if it looks great, if somebody sits on it and she hears the clicking sound, It's because perceived as a poor job, even though you did a great job on it. It's just one little click can ruin your whole day, right? So that's why the fabric's in the middle, and that's pretty smart. They put the fabric in the middle so that it wouldn't cause that. So let's see. So yeah, that's my advice there. Let's go on to now we're into the YouTubes. That's all we had on the Facebook, Jimmy.
Apparently so.
But we have 1 million people. How many people now are signing up for Facebook?
Well, I
Daily.
know people want to become members of Upholstery on Broadway.
Yeah.
I think we should start screening some people.
What do you mean? What happened?
Let's ask some tough upholstery questions.
Oh, you mean a quiz of some sort?
Yes, yes.
You know,
yes.
how many ties on an 8-way tie, things like
Yes.
that. That's a hard one. You don't want to distract away from it.
You're a good math professor. What's the answer to 3 + 2? 5? Everybody did kind of like that.
So Randy says he used to install drapery and a steamer was his best friend. You better believe it is
Oh,
on
yeah.
drapes. Yeah. Not so much on fabric and upholstery fabric. Lucas says hi everyone. Now remember where Lucas is from, Jimmy.
Where? Okay.
Isn't he from he's from
Nice to know that's on the tip of your tongue.
Lucas, remind us of where you're from, please. I know it's far away. Oh, by the way, you guys, great news. Boston area finally has lifted the masks mandate. We must be the last in the country, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, actually, well, that'll probably change by the end of the week.
Oh, you think so? Yeah. Jimmy, you're pessimistic. Belgium.
Belgium. Oh, yeah.
Antwerp, Belgium! Exclamation point. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. But we love that. We love our foreign exchange students. Let's say, Jimmy, right?
I
I got a call from a friend. I asked people if they would be interested in sponsoring a French student who contacted me. Unfortunately, I'm not set up right now to do live classes of any type. And who knows? I keep saying that I don't think I can do it because every time I decide I want to do it, something else happens. You can't plan.
Well, again, I think if you did something, it would have to be on a smaller scale than what you've had, what we've done.
Or a bigger place, and a bigger place is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, but
I mean, we joke about this extreme upholstery, but I was talking to a grandmother whose kids attend a school in New Hampshire, and they didn't close the school. I think it must be a private school. Guess why? They didn't close the school throughout the whole pandemic. Do you know
you're
why?
kidding.
Do you know why?
Why?
They did all their teaching outside, even in the cold weather.
Get out of
They
here.
had the kids bundled up to the.
Oh my God.
And you know something? Isn't that smart?
Well, it's an idea, but I mean, how many parents would really? I mean, I wouldn't want my son to go.
Don't forget, it's New Hampshire, so they're used to the great outdoors, Jimmy.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
You're outdoors. You're skiing. You're cross country skiing. You're playing hockey.
Oh, you mean you're moving and that? But maybe they
Yeah.
were incorporating that in it, though. Maybe that was the learning technique. I don't know, but they didn't close. She was so happy they didn't
Well,
close.
they'd be giving everybody a lot more credit for being outside.
Yeah. Randy says no city of Milwaukee is still masked. No city of Milwaukee, it's still masked. Is that what you're saying, Randy? Crazy, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I think some are going to be slower than others. But anyhow, we're happy here. And we hope you guys get happy. So we have Susan on the YouTube. She says on which one is this? Caning to upholstery conversion. Upholster and preserve your caning. She says, thanks so much for the clear step-by-step instructions. You make this seem very doable and inspire confidence. It is a pleasure to watch you, a master of your craft at work. Thank you, Susan.
Did you say master?
And we'll send that check into the mail, a $25 check to Susan for the nice comment, right?
Yeah,
Jimmy?
of course. I'm still waiting for mine.
Well, you're getting your platform shoes have been ordered. Don't worry. A to Z Club Chair. Thank you I finally understand the cut that go for the back one, for the arm one, for the back. Oh my God, thank you. I'm waiting for the arm. I'm waiting for the arm. I cannot never get the cut right for the arm and get a pocket on top of the arm. I know what she's saying. She's saying that she ends up with the loose arm, and I know, but that she's thanking us for that free YouTube, you guys. I keep saying that YouTube is a great resource for those who can't afford, or if they're just starting out and they want to get their feet wet. And you can even use home tools to start out, a lot of the things. And I really appreciate that. So keep that up. So we have the YouTube, we have the online classes, we have the Facebook forum, and what else, Jimmy? Don't we have something
I don't
else?
know. I think we're gonna do house to house calls next time.
I don't know, Jimmy. Someday, SG says on the. I love it when people comment on the question and answers show that we have, because we like the feedback on these. Great informative video, Kevin, and as usual, I managed to glean a new tidbit of info I wasn't aware of previously. I did laugh at the point where your stuff was falling on the floor, as this usually happens to me. And I know a guy that had a utility belt, Jimmy, like Batman. Remember Batman's utility belt?
Yes, I remember.
He had everything in that thing.
Yeah, anything that ever mattered to,
Right there,
you
that
know,
utility belt. I
we have
never
the
could wear a
bat, we
utility
have the
belt.
bat gas mask, we have the bat belt, the bat,
Do you-
the boomerang or the bat,
Right.
bat rope and
Oh, he
all
had
that.
everything in there.
Yeah, yeah,
Even Robin's stuff he had in there.
yeah.
So, Jimmy, I don't think it's a good idea to use a utility belt when you're upholstering because there's a lot of sharp things that could get you.
Well, if you don't know how to get out of your own way,
Look at all the sharp things. We have curved needles that go from one and
well,
a
you
half
should
to
have
5
something,
inch.
you know what you should have? You should have like a little vest right here where I'm having my needles right here. I've got my little, I got
But then the phone rings or you sneeze. Oh boy,
then
you
you're
don't want to
stabbing
sneeze.
yourself, right? You're obviously going way out of line there, Mr.
Jimmy,
J.
I wouldn't use it. So he's commenting. SG, I'd rather have it fall on the floor than poke me. Did I ever tell you guys the story of my brother-in-law? Once he shot himself with a staple gun. Right, one time he had his T-shirt on. This it's a good story. He doesn't get hurt, but I guess it maybe a little painful. But he's well packed in in the area of his stomach, thank God. And he has T-shirt on, and those staple guns, the pneumatic staple guns, were very trigger. They would go off, Jimmy, very easily. What do they call that? Hair trigger? Is that what they call
Very
that?
sensitive.
Very sensitive. So what happened was the gun was falling, SG. If a gun falls, just let it fall. Don't try to pick it up. Because he tried to pick it up, and what happened, Jimmy? He picked it up and it wasn't quite on the handle, but his finger was on the trigger. And he shot himself not just once.
Twice.
No,
Fine,
no,
fine,
like a dozen times. It was like and all around here. And he shouted, and I said, "What happened? Oh my goodness! He had staples all in his shirt,
wow.
and these little blood stains coming out." I said, "Timmy, you're gonna be okay." He said, "What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?" I said, "I know how to fix this." So I took his T-shirt and I went like this, Jimmy. I pulled the T-shirt up and I rescued him.
Did you use that Bowie knife, kind of extract all those staples?
No, it came out really easy, and he was okay. We little what do they call that stuff you use on wounds, Jimmy?
Hydrogen peroxide?
Yeah, a little here and there. He was fine. He just went back to work. Didn't even put band-aids on there. He's good. That's what we did in the old days. We know. Got right back up on the horse, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, back on the horse, right, got it.
So great informative video, Kevin, as usual. I managed to glean a new tidbit of info I wasn't aware of. What is this actually? We need to tell people what this is. I can't see it. This must be for the A to Z club chair. Um, I did laugh at the point where your stuff was falling on the floor, as this usually happens to me. Then just when I have the material where I want it, and then can't quite reach my regulator staple gun that's fallen on the floor. Grr. Ha, ha, ha. Hasn't that happened to us all, Jimmy, right?
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Janine says, looking good on the sale, looking good, great tips as usual. Looking forward to seeing the next step. Thanks, Janine. And then Randy, thank you, Randy. Randy says, very good explanation of cuts required. Best advice I was given on cutting was to sneak up on your cuts. You can always cut deeper. You can't uncut. Thank you. Did you miss posting doing the inside arms? I have to tell you, I think there's a problem on the progression of this series. I think you're going to get, I think number 4 or 5. maybe if Patrick's watching, he can call me and let me know about this. You're going to get that later, so I hope you guys forgive us on that. It was something the IT department said that there might be a problem there. So we have more. This is great. I love the comments on YouTube that we're catching up on. Linda on making rollover arm caps. I try to make it as simple as possible because I know that there's a lot of. So I should mention that I know that there are a lot of real amateurs watching who may just make one arm cap their whole life and that's it. So I try to make it as simple as possible. Follow you other people who are slipcover people or seasoned upholsterers. You know how to fancy things up. Put a liner on the arm cap if you want. Maybe make your ends, a little bit better. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. So we're just giving the basics a lot of times, just to try to reach a broader market. So Linda says, so the width circumference on large fabric has to equal the length circumference of rounded smaller pieces in order to stitch successfully, so no overhang comes up short. Yes, I hope you guys got that. How to add to webbing to a Danish side chair. Jack Jones says, where can I get that webbing? At Upholstery on Broadway. That's the fourth thing, right, Jimmy? Upholstery on Broadway has a store that you can go on. It doesn't have every single thing that an upholstery shop might have, but it has the best, it has the most used items and the best items.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. So check that out, Upholstery on Broadway. I have original Jens Risson lounge chairs that need to be totally redone. The webbing is a cinnamon color that matches the wood. I've had no luck finding someone who knows how to do it, or finding the webbing. So there you go. I'm pretty sure the webbing he's talking about is the seat webbing, I think, on that one. All right. Another one, making rollover arm caps. What a wonderful job. Thank you. I wish I had a sewing machine, she said. I don't think there's any way of doing a rollover arm cap without a sewing machine. So sorry about that. And Janine she has a comment on the upholstery show from last week. Great question and answer today. Very interesting with Blair today. Oh, by the way, Randy, I forgot to call you. I do want to call with you like we did with Blair. I thought that was very informative. I even learned new things from Blair, and he's just starting out. Somebody's wondering if you could switch from zigzag springs to coil springs. Sometimes you can't. I find that if the zigzag springs are being used, the frame is a very thin frame, and sometimes it's not recommended that you go to the coil springs because the frame might not take the heavy stretching that you need. I mean, when you look at this chair over here, this 1840 chair, the stock on this thing is about 2.5 inches thick. It's an amazingly done chair. Maybe I'll turn it around for you guys to see. Janine says, I'm just checking on comments. And Randy also, just to let you guys know, Randy can answer questions too. And Randy's out in Wisconsin. If you guys are local to Wisconsin, I definitely advise you to look up Esquire Upholstery out there. Great guy. And I think you like what the work I've seen is unbelievable. Janine says, great question and answer today. Very interesting with Blair today. When is the next group of Jimmy's French love seat coming out? Do you know, Jimmy?
No, ask Patrick. I think he.
Patrick's not here for me to ask, Janine.
Well, I thought you might know. You guys are the
Yeah.
board of directors of the Upholstery on Broadway Incorporated.
She says, I can't wait to see Jimmy in the studio with the wing back, but not in the water.
She's being thoughtful.
She is. She's nice, isn't she, Jimmy?
Absolutely.
Likes you. Elaine says, what is the name of his shop? And I just mentioned, Blair's shop. Blair's shop is Blair Interiors, I believe.
I think we have to go back to the
Blair Interiors is the name of the shop. So she says she lives near Enterprise, Alabama, where that shop is. So check him out, you guys. I'd be more than happy to give him a referral. I've seen his work. I know him. He's great. So check that out. I think that does it. And Jimmy now, Jimmy, now this is the time of the show where Jimmy's gonna be surprising all you guys. Uh, Randy says he just finished his website, thanking me for giving him a shout out there. Denise says, yeah, she's the people on the commenting are helping one another, and that's great. Just like the Facebook forum, you guys should check out. All right, Jimmy. First, I want to read. This is not a typical job. This is almost like a museum piece. So
Yeah, I'd have to say that.
it is a museum piece. So I don't use my typically. I just have an invoice that I handwrite because I'm talking to the customer the same time I'm writing, and I don't want things to get
Interpreted.
understood or interpreted. So while I'm talking, the customer's in front of me, so I'll just demonstrate with you, Jimmy.
Mhm.
Okay, Jimmy, you got a wing chair you want me to upholster? This is
Yes.
not this wing chair, but a wing chair.
Yes, I do.
All right, Jimmy, you got a picture. I saw the picture.
Yes.
So that wing chair is $1,100 labor, which will include reupholstering any minor repair work, and you're going to
Okay.
need 7 yards of fabric. Is there anything about now? Really, literally, this is so important for
Well,
Blair.
I think the coil, the springs, I would definitely check
All right.
on that.
So, what makes you think the springs are no good? And this,
It feels off when I sit.
okay,
Sit
check
and-
springs, inconsistent.
Yes.
I'll be writing as you're saying to me, but it's almost like in a shorthand
Yes.
because
You're
people
making-
have a way
you're
of
making note, crib notes.
you have to put it on the work order with the prices and how many yards of fabric. And then I'd say you need 7 yards of fabric, and usually on the yard of fabric I'll circle it just for the people just see a 7 there, they don't know what it is, but I put 7 yards and I circle it because that's a component at that point of the estimate. You don't know how much the fabric is yet,
Right.
so you should be asking me. So I say, okay, Jenny, so
Well, I want to get through
$1,100.
the labor first.
What else
then we're
is there anything else with that you?
I need the cushion. I would like to have the cushion.
Do you want foam and Dacron? Do you want spring and down? Do you want foam and down? Do you want 50/50
I'm
straight
gonna
down and
say,
feather?
down. I think, yeah. foam and
100% down? No, I don't recommend that.
down. No, with feathers and down.
So 50% down, 50% feather is what I recommend, Jimmy,
Yep.
because it gives a nice balance to the cushion. And
Yep.
you're a big guy. Do you expect that that's going to be comfortable?
I'd like to think so. I think, yeah. I think that's the way I like it.
So this is the sensitive part. Of
Well,
this.
what would it be like?
This
for
is where I have to use some sensitivity.
sensitivity.
So I
on
mean,
me?
Jimmy, how much do you weigh?
220.
I wouldn't ask you that. So you're 220 pounds, and you're going to sit on a feather cushion. It's going to be like a pancake, like a flapjack.
But I have a soft tushy.
Oh, jeez. We don't want to get personal.
Okay, then recommend. Okay, here's the other thing.
So what's going to happen is, Jimmy, you're going to be sitting on the springs. It's going to have the opposite effect of what you think. So I mean, I have this discussion with the customer. It doesn't quite go like this, where we're kind of joking a little bit, but you don't want the wrong cushion. So the French design these cushions, all feather cushions, 100% feather, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculously light. And you had that on yours. Remember that's French settee.
Yes.
So that's the big surprise on that for people. I think we were talking about that as you went along. We had it up there. We put it up there for people to see.
Yeah.
That I believe was 100% down in there,
Yeah, it probably was being so old.
which absolutely offers no support at all,
No,
unless
it-
you're a 80 or 90-pound grandmother.
Right.
It's fine. You're like floating on a cloud. You're
Well-
3 times heavier than that, Jimmy. Do you think you're going to be floating on top of that cushion?
Yes, like a down. Yeah.
No, we don't go that deep, and we're having a
So
little
with
fun.
okay. all
I
right,
would
so-
recommend there are 2 different types of basic. Don't get too complicated with this, you guys. Offer 2 different basic, 3 different. If you look at the 50/50 down feather, that's definitely for people who are lightweight, and you have to be sensitive about that. But for everybody else, you're either going to put polyurethane with Dacron, or you're going to have a spring unit. I don't recommend the foam core. A spring unit with the down and feather wrap. That's it. And there's a big difference in price.
Okay.
So
So give me the idea of the difference in price
oh,
and the durability of it.
sometimes on the foam, even though foam has gone up, sometimes by the way, you guys, it's getting a little tight out there. The inflation's kicking in big time now. Should let you guys know that. So I'm really trying to capture some work. So it depends on how busy you are. This next thing, I mean, in a real, nice business environment, I would be adding on for a foam cushion. Like if somebody's going to do the work for me, maybe with me, I'd charge $75 for a foam and Dacron cushion. It would be a little bit more if you just came in for the cushion.
Mm-hmm.
So now the down and feather, the
Mhm.
down, feather, and spring, that can be as much as $320.
Okay.
So that there,
Bringing it back to its original chair.
yeah. So what
Okay.
I'm doing now, though, because just this is this is not related to what you and I are doing, pretending like you're a customer, but for everybody else out there in my neck of the woods, which is a strong, usually extremely strong economy. By the way, you guys, I don't know wherever you guys are. Let me tell you, I think that these economies, we used to call them bubble economies in different towns around here. Like I was from Newton originally, and we had we called them bubble economies where nothing seemed to affect some small geographic areas.
Right.
But right now, this is a little different. It's tight. People are questioning prices, so I have to get creative. I would say, well, I can offer you that I can include the new foam and Dacron, Jimmy, in the cushion.
Okay. So how much is that? What's the difference?
No, it's going to be 1,100. I'm going to include the foam and Dacron cushion in that, Jimmy.
Oh,
For you.
okay.
Okay, so the 7 yards of fabric.
So will how will the cushion look?
Well,
Mm.
foam cushions, it's a good question. Foam cushions usually look firmer, tighter,
Okay.
a little bit less wrinkles than a down cushion. You can even see this is a down cushion. How
So
wrinkly
will
is.
that change the shape or the outlook of the whole chair
Yeah,
overall?
we tend to put foam and Dacron flat on like a lot of mid-century furniture has that, but contemporary furniture has it also. Sometimes we might want to, maybe we can wrap it. This is what I would be saying. Jimmy sounds like a tough customer. He's asking all these questions. He's got some knowledge. The most dangerous customer I have is somebody with a little knowledge. So Jimmy, I can put in an extra Dacron wrap, and it's going to have a zipper. If you don't like it, we can change it out. That's always usually gives people a little, you know, relief that it's
You
not
can
a
change
done
it.
deal. It's not a done deal. It can be changed out, even if you wanted to go to the spring and down cushion later on. Sometimes I'll say that. Well, if you don't want to do it now, you can do it later.
Okay.
You know,
So, but here's a question for you. With the cushion with the down,
right?
do you add more? Can you add more to make it firmer?
No, you add down.
Well, it's feathering down too.
We can never add. I used to do that in the old days, and I never do it again because downproof ticking has a lifespan. It has a lifespan. It has like a little spray for all those who don't know what a downproof ticking is. It's muslin, but it has a spray. I don't know if it's a glue, but it's like a finish on it. And that finish, it turns out to be like a chintz. I don't know if you know what a chintz is.
No.
Well, it can't penetrate a feather through it. That's the idea. A feather stem can't go through it, although sometimes they sneak through. But that's the idea. What happens over time is you lose that, and the feathers start to go through that, and
And
then
then
the
they come.
ticking, the muslin starts to get dry, and then it's impossible to. I never do it anymore. So I would say to a customer, I would say I can repair it. I'll put another piece over if there's a hole in it. I'll fluff it up. But if that doesn't work, you need a new cushion. Sometimes you need a new cushion.
Okay.
So, do you have any other questions about pricing, Jimmy?
Well, the fabric. I mean, how much? I need to see your catalog to see how much
Yeah, you need
everything.
7 yards on top of the labor
Whatever.
price. It's going to
Okay.
be.
Now, do you see anything else structurally wrong with this that it's going to need
And
changing?
all of the minor structural problems are going to be included in the price. So what I don't do is, and I would say this to you as a customer, I don't do add-ons. I don't like add-ons. I don't like it when it's done to me. You go in and get a car, oh, the rust proofing, and then blah 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 blah. The
Yeah.
simonizing. You need special tires on this thing, and by the time you're done, it's a lot of money. I don't do that. Um, I had an instance where I quoted an $1,100 price. This is not for Jimmy because he's still in the customer road. They had gotten a price on the same chair for $800, Jimmy. I said, "Well, are they offering you free pickup and delivery?" No. Well, I am. So that was another $200. That's up to 1,000 already. Were they going to give you the foam and Dacron cushion like I am? That's another 75. Well, so they ended up all of the totals over, it was over 1,100, so they're gonna use me. Just be a straight shooter, that's all. Let's catch up on some of the and we'll get back to Jimmy. Yeah, Randy's doing a good job. Kathy is hello from Syracuse, Ohio, Jimmy. I've been
There,
watching your videos for a while. You inspired me to reupholster my 91-year-old mother-in-law's favorite recliner. It's not perfect, but it's pretty. Hey, way to go, Kathy, right, Jimmy?
I give her credit. I think it's great.
So, Jimmy, you have a question about you want to know your bottom line,
Yeah, how everything is. Of course, we have to go through the fabric and decide on, 7
yeah,
yards or whatever the fabric, and that's going to range from what one.
50 to $150 a yard. So you have
Oh,
to kind of watch yourself on that.
right.
We certainly can show you some value books for $50 a yard. We can show you some designer for 150 and everything in between.
Okay.
So I don't know what your budget is on this job. We're
Well,
going to
I'd
try
like
to
to see
help
what
you.
you have for 50. I like something that's going to be durable. I need something a little not flashy, but I think a classy,
All of our
classy.
fabrics are screened by me. Every fabric that I have is screened by me, and they're all heavy duty, double rubs. They all have good cleaning codes, and they're all upholstery weight fabrics.
Okay.
So they're more or less handpicked because we don't want to be selling drapery fabric for something that's gonna,
No, 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 no. I know people may want that. I think that's
we don't want to see the chair worn out in 4 years. We want
yeah.
somebody.
Well, I think you. Well, I mean, there are some people that are insistent on
So let's say Jimmy picks a fabric and we
say
total it
$75 a yard.
75 times 7, Jimmy. What's that? About 4 or 5? Let's say $500, right?
Yeah, about $500,
500 plus the 1,100, that's
520.
1,600. And then we're going to offer you. Where do you live, Jimmy? You live close to the shop.
I live in Waltham.
All right, Jimmy. So we're going to offer you free pickup and delivery if you can't get the job to me, which has a great value. People like that because they know the value of that. But moving is costing a lot of money lately. So with all that said, you guys, and some of the effort that we put into this would be a one-on-one effort that we put into. This would be before the person would have called, they would have got a text, so you could have an hour investment in a customer, and 50% of them don't walk away. So this is a problem too. And I'm especially to Blair, you have to be really careful with your time now that you have a storefront. You have to be very tactful, and you have to offer good customer service. You have to be friendly as a business owner on a street, but you're going to be challenged with people who really don't understand that your time is everything. That your time is money, as they say. So you guys and gals who are working out of your basements and garages, don't have to worry about uh, people coming in on you who just really want to chat. And that has some benefit to it. There's no doubt about it, but you really do have to manage that. And I think if I had to give Blair any more advice is um, maybe have a setup where when people come in, you have a counter. And we have at the shop, we have like a little rope which kind of fits in. It's a red rope, Jimmy, that fits in. You know the red rope.
Yes.
It blocks the front of the shop off, so nobody's wandering in the back, which can be dangerous anyhow. But it actually offers a place where they can stop and they can understand it's a business. They look around, they can still chat for a minute. It actually limits. Somebody wants to chat a lot. I think it's a good idea, and you still want to be friendly though. You don't want to be kicking people out of your shop who are neighbors.
No, you want a good relationship with the neighbors.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy. I think we covered everything.
So,
Do you
so
have any
what's
other questions about the workmanship, or do you?
well, what's the timeline with regard to when you
Ooh,
started?
that's an important question. Well, if you pick the fabric today and we get the fabric in a week, from that point when we get the fabric, we schedule it. So what I'm doing now is kind of giving myself a little time here. I don't like to say to people 2 weeks because that's unrealistic. And some people want to hear that. But I think this is really important. You don't want me to say 6 months. What if I said 6 months, Jimmy? You'd walk out the door,
I'd
right?
say, well, for 6 months, I expect. Um,
Would you wait 6 months?
well, I mean, if I, for example, had found that in my basement or in my attic, and I was in no rush, which may happen, I mean, somebody says, I don't need it right away. I'm thinking about putting this in my summer home and I won't be there till,
That's different.
okay, yeah, but
But most people don't wanna wait 6 months. So
no,
what you have to do is
you
figure out.
have to, for 6 months, you'd have to cut the labor in half.
Really? Would you say that?
6 months, yeah,
Did you hear Jimmy's a tough negotiator, so you're saying to me,
yep,
can you do better on the labor if it takes 6 months?
yeah, I mean, come on,
You're a jerk.
why? You're telling me, say, your answer
And
is
I would
six,
say, okay, so you wanna play that game, huh?
well,
Okay,
I mean, you're holding it for 6 months.
so I would say,
That's a half a year.
but that's so I'll charge you storage. So, yeah, I'll do $550 off the price, but I'm gonna charge you $550 for storage. No, I'm just kidding. No, I have to be tactful because you've turned into a real tough negotiator
Well, I
now.
mean, if you said,
You'd
well,
be
I
considered
mean, mine is
you're in my
the
doghouse right now.
mine is the fact that if you said, the fabric was not in stock, you still want it, and sometimes I've had it where, you see things that are not, the company itself says, okay, we should be in 6 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it's going to be. You count on that timeline again, but
Right.
and if it keeps continuing, then it's like after the
You
first.
want money off the longer it takes.
Well, no, I mean, again, if you're having me wait and, oh, Jimmy, no, Kevin, let's either try a new fabric or let's try another route.
Well, the labor. So if I was 6 months behind, I would be really kind of happy on one level that I have that much work. But the most I've been in on my whole career probably would be 12 to 14 weeks behind, which is a lot of work. So what that is, what that represents, 12 to let's say 10 weeks.
Okay,
But 10 weeks, every week you expect to get, if you're a really busy shop and you've got, let's say, 3 or 4 people working for you, which I was in that case, we would be producing maybe 5 chairs and 3 sofas, let's say.
hmm
5 chairs and 3 sofas every week. So 50 chairs and 30 sofas, something like that
right,
would be 10 weeks. That's a lot of work.
yeah,
And you have to be honest with people. You can't say to somebody, "Oh, I'll do this in 2 weeks," and then 8 weeks later they call on you. You have to be very careful what you say. So that means you have to make sure you know what your volume is, what you have in the back room, or it's not even the back room. You don't physically have the work. It's you have deposits on work that's out there.
right.
So you have to all. This is really important. Running
Well,
a
right,
small
because you
business
can't promise
today.
something in 3 weeks when you've got 15 projects ahead.
Jimmy, I was doing stuff today on Mondays. I try to catch up with my paperwork and what the work that I have, and I was thinking this is really a lot of balls in the air when you have a small business. You have to be on top of it. You really have to be on top.
Well, yeah,
Of it.
you have to show up every day, and you're basically you're moving as soon as you get in the door.
So, Jimmy, it's going to take about 4 weeks. Is that okay? Acceptable
Yeah,
to you?
4 weeks is yeah, more acceptable.
All
Okay,
right. I would need a deposit for the fabric.
deposit.
Oh, are you going to be?
Jeez,
So
oh
you're
my
going to be?
God, I don't know. Let me see if
Are
I
you
can
going to be
find
hot
that
on
extra
that?
water cash I had around.
So we picked a fabric. You picked a beautiful blue velvet fabric.
You want to show the
That's
crowd? Would you like to
nice. Yeah,
show the?
can you lift that up to show the people
God, you
what
want me to do your work for you
his
too?
pretend fabric that he picked out? Good for you, Jimmy.
No.
Jimmy's dream is to be sconced in velvet for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Can people see that? Oh, it looks black, Jimmy. Oh, there you go. You're getting it.
Well, it does still
And
come.
do you want what's behind door number 1 or door number 2?
Let's take number one. Let's take number one. Yeah, yeah. Just door number two.
Door number 1.
Door number one is actually a lot better than number two is.
Jimmy, we just lost 3 people. Jim, we can't see
That's
your
more
head.
like black. I mean, well. In
Well,
the
it
picture.
looks black, but
Yeah.
it's turn it with a light. You had a good light on it before.
I don't know.
There you go. There it is, a little bit. But anyhow, so we need a deposit for the fabric in full, Jimmy, and
Anything
with the
else you
sales
need?
tax, it's going to come out to $522.32. How would you like to pay that today, sir?
Do you take bad checks?
I take rubber checks. Sure, I have in the past. So that's how it goes. So that's it. Now,
So what is the mystery with this?
well, I
tool?
wanted to make a point
You're
about
giving
this
me,
particular. Chip.
my blood pressure is up.
I'm
My
sorry.
excitement level is almost up. To
Wait
sky.
till you find it. Your world is going to collapse. when you
No,
find out what this chair is?
no,
Has anybody out there guessed what this chair is?
give them a hint.
Has
Give them-
anybody, come on, Kevin, you can get my working half days, midnight to, yeah, right.
Midnight to what?
It's, I'm not a young man anymore, you're right, but I have pulled all-nighters out of necessities, but not recently. So on this chair, because it's a museum quality piece, and I have to do it with 6-ounce tacks, 3-ounce tacks, hand stitching, horsehair, hand stitching the horsehair. I'm gonna do it. I'm going all out with this piece. This is also a friend, so this particular piece. So this is a little bit more detailed than the average chair. So I just want to read it to you. So I said, Sheridan, it's a Sheridan chair. Existing loose cushioning. Get rid of all padding on seat now. Replace it with 2 inches of horsehair. Make it flat upholstered seat. So we determined that that was the original look. The loose cushion came later. So he's a purist. He wants it as original. And then no piping anywhere, because that was tradition too. Hand stitch all outsides. Restore wings.
Oh, yeah,
Get rid of all the foam that's in there. Somebody put foam in this.
build it up somewhere.
10 yards of ionic blue velvet, which is over here. Return extra fabric. May need all new horsehair, and I think it does. All new horsehair everywhere, Jimmy. Everywhere.
Not the, you're using the rubberized horse?
Oh no, real horsehair. We already have it. We have the real horsehair is going to be used in this chair. So now, you ready now for
But but you know what? See, some of these projects that come through, I wish that you could film them because they just,
I know. I'm not sure if I have time for this one. No, Randy's guessing it's a recliner. It's not a recliner. Anybody else before I reveal? Jimmy, you're not going to believe this. So we
Oh,
have to
God.
get the full chair. All right, Jimmy. Now I'm going to turn it up and see if you can guess what this is, Jimmy. Okay. See, even after looking at it, to see if you know what it's going to be. Okay, ready?
oh my God, it was a, what the hell is that? A toilet?
Yes,
Oh my God.
it's a potty chair.
And they changed it to a,
Well, thank God for indoor plumbing, Jimmy. Around what year was that,
well,
Jimmy?
it's nice to be able to take a dump and you're still watching, the,
Now, can you guys? I don't know if they can see this through this crazy thing that we have here. I'm just gonna see. Can you guys see that? It's a toilet. It's a toilet, you guys. A potty chair. Now,
somebody was obviously very creative someday,
it-
one day.
well, somebody. This would have been in a very, very rich person's home, because the rest of us would have to use an outhouse in the cold weather.
Yes.
We wouldn't be. This would be in the fireside, and there it is, Jimmy.
Well, I would have never guessed that in a million years.
No, and I think you handled it quite well. I think, was it a big surprise for you? Have you ever heard of that?
Well, when you started to lift it up from the floor, I said, what?
Well, there it is. So we're not gonna bring it back to a potty chair at the top, but we are making it like a chair of
So,
that time without the potty
What
seat.
is the seat?
What's that?
Upholstery coils is on the seat, right?
Well, the seat originally,
Yeah.
it was just wood. They might have had a lid on it,
Oh,
but
God.
it's just wood.
You gotta take some pictures. I think what you
Yeah.
should do, if anything, is definitely take
leave
pictures
it
as
like
you
that.
strip it down.
Oh yeah, I think we
And
should.
I think this would be,
Yeah.
I will, I think some people are curious to see how this thing is put together.
And Denise says something interesting. She says that a bedside commode, maybe for a disabled or elderly person, could be. I think they were commonly used, though. That's how I understood it. But it hasn't been used in that capacity for a long time. And this chair's 100 and what did we say it was? 182 years old, and probably hasn't been used as that chair for 150 years. So that's interesting. So what we're going to do now, Jimmy, is go to a job that I had up here on the bench last week. I just wanted to see if I can get it in screen here. Travis is wondering how I'll fix the hole. It has a piece over top of it. So I'm just gonna reuse what's there. It's not actually a hole, you're just seeing the bottom. You just push this over here. So we had a job, I have two of these. They're hand tufted modern pieces, really high-end furniture. Brass casters on the bottom. What they have a drop-in unit, a small drop-in unit size-wise, and then they put a piece of soft foam over that. So my experience, I am not going to change this. The customer knows I'm going to keep this. I might tighten it up. I might put a piece of I might tighten up what's there. You have to be careful what you use here. If you use burlap, you could have a problem. Just so whatever they have, it's just like a piece of nylon that they have over it, which is probably not a bad thing to reuse. But what happens with a unit like this is they bottom out. They have a little bit of a bottoming out that happens, and that's what happened to these. So they wanted me to fix that. So it's going to be very simple. They probably should have added, even though this is a soft piece of foam, maybe a 1-inch piece of foam in anticipating that that's going to bottom out. So I'm going to change it out to a firm piece of 3-inch foam. And before I put it, I'll tighten this seat up a little bit. And before I put this on, I'll cut it to size. There's little T's in here. I'm going to put like a 1-inch piece of foam right in here, like an oval shaped piece of foam. I might glue it down just to give it longevity. I don't want the customer calling back in 2, 3, or even 5 years saying it did the same thing it did before. So that will solve that problem. So that's that. A lot of interesting projects. Jimmy, do you have any questions?
No, I don't right
Anybody
now.
have any questions for Jimmy? He's been featured on a lot of online classes, and sorry we didn't have an answer. I think it was for Janine about the online classes, about the settee, when that's going to be posted. I think soon. I would think.
Yeah, I think Patrick usually announces when
Yeah.
when the third set. That should be coming up soon. Though. Next couple of weeks.
But we want to thank you. I think that's going to do it for us. About 1 hour today. I feel as though we're missing something. I don't know why, but we did cover a lot today. I did want to mention that. I mention that we're going to be getting a 1740 wing chair in very soon, which is so rare. I can't tell you. The last 18th century piece of furniture that I had with 2 rocking chairs that came to me in piles of wood. And they were so old, Jimmy, we couldn't do anything with them. We had to bring them back to the customer because they were so far gone. But this chair, the 1740, is exceptionally good shape, as well as this 1840. So we get a lot of varying pieces of furniture here in the Northeast, and we were excited about that. We run the gamut here between would love to see the 1740 wing chair. That's coming, Denise. It's coming soon. We'll feature that. That's coming. So the really, really good furniture I bring to the studio here because we have a beautiful carpeted floor. It's a safer. I mean, my shop in Arlington's safe, but it's more climate controlled, and less can happen here. This is more like a surgical operation here. So that's what I do. Thanks, Randy. Have a good week, and thanks a lot. And I hope that you guys have a successful week and also a healthy week. And hopefully, those mandates will be taken away out there and where you are, Randy, and everywhere else in the world. I think we're coming out of it. So thanks, you guys, and I'll see you later.
Nice show, Kevin.